Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Vietnam War. I'm Mike B, and today we're going to be talking about the different regions of Vietnam that were sectioned off by the United States forces. They were typically called corps, C-O-R-P-S, and it's actually pretty important to explain some future videos that I'm going to be doing, like where units were, where things took place, why things happened a certain way. So basically, I'm just going to put up a little picture right here. Excuse the dust and stuff. Right now, I'm in my house, and this room is not finished. So it's just the flooring is just wood, and there's dust everywhere and stuff, and the windows are taped shut because I got to paint. So I apologize in advance for the dust flying. It's not orbs or anything. I'm not in the Upside Down and in Stranger Things. It's just dust, straight up. Pretty soon that'll change. I'll have it finished, and there won't be all this dust floating around, but just have to bear with me for this video. So here's the map, right? And when you hear things, you've probably heard things like in documentaries or movies about like I Corps, 2 Corps, 3 Corps, 4 Corps. That's because Vietnam was sectioned into 4 different corps zones, basically, and each one had different command and mission and whatnot. But again, we'll get into that. This is just the basic explaining what they were and kind of how they looked on this map. So you see on the top, you've got the 1st Corps area, which is typically called I Corps, right? And that red line on the top, just north of Quang Tri, is the DMZ, the demilitarized zone that separates North and South Vietnam at that point. Hue City is just south of that. Da Nang is south of that, as you can see on this map. And that was typically where the Marines were. The 5th Infantry Division Mechanized was up there. We'll do that on a different episode, but just for now, that's where a lot of the mountains were. It was pretty mountainous up there, and you see a lot of things. You hear about I Corps, like where people were, and that a lot of action took place there. And then you get down towards the biggest section, which was 2 Corps, and that's where a lot of different units were stationed and stuff. It's getting from the highlands and the mountains kind of down to just being average Vietnam. And then you get down south farther into 3 Corps, which is where Saigon is, or was rather. It's still called Saigon if you want to call it that. But anyway, so that's where like the big city was, and Cambodia was actually pretty close to that, and it was close to 2 Corps as well. And Laos is, getting up north to where you're still next to I Corps, but we were still kind of in there and stuff, and there was a bunch of stuff going on, which I'll make videos on too. Again, this series is almost endless. And then you get 4 Corps, which is the Delta, the Mekong Delta. So when you hear people talk about, I Corps, 2 Corps, 3 Corps, 4 Corps, all that stuff, now you can kind of get a little bit of a picture of like where they were. So pretty much it goes from 1 to 4. So the smaller the number is, the farther north they were, generally speaking, because 2 Corps is really huge. And Cam Ranh Bay is in 2 Corps, which is where most of the people came in process in country, because it's pretty central as far as being on the coast, and then they could go to their respective units. Da Nang was kind of the same thing for the Marines, which is up north farther, because that's typically where they were stationed and their area of operations were. Marine Corps is a lot smaller than the Army, as you guys know, so they didn't have as much spread as the Army did. But anyway, so this is just a short little video just to kind of show you and break this down. Hope you understand this. If you got any questions, feel free to ask. Hopefully this clears some things up, and this will allow us to move forward to kind of talk about where different units were, and then when I'm talking about big battles and stuff that took place, you'll kind of be able to see where in the country it was. If you don't know where Vietnam is on a world map, I highly encourage you to Google it and figure it out. It's a weird, very skinny, long country. Now it's all one country. It's now no longer North and South. But this is South Vietnam, from that top red line all the way down to the South China Sea. So hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully we'll be getting back into this series, do some more information on this stuff, kind of the overview and whatever. I appreciate you watching. If you consider supporting my work, any ways in the description are fine with me. It's really going to help out the channel and stuff. I enjoy making these videos. It's kind of a fun little side thing for the channel. Vietnam War is a pretty substantial interest of mine as far as military history. Very recent and very interesting to try and understand and talk to people that were there, which is one thing you can't really do with World War II and World War I or any previous conflict. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I'll try to keep the series going. I appreciate you watching, guys. Also check me out on BitChute. I'll be posting this up there. And yeah, we'll see you on the next vid.